between the study session and regular meetings. So with that, we'll go on. Discussion, procurement methods concerning Summerton High School. Mrs. Thompson.
Thank you, President Townsend and members of the board. I'm very excited to have this study session this evening. A lot of things that come through, especially after some of us, we're not old, but some of us have been around for a while, and we take for granted some of the information and some of our practices and protocols and just some of the ways that we do business. And so I think this is a perfect study session, given where we are in getting ready for hopefully at some point approval of a new high school. And we're very excited to have an expert in his field and somebody that is also part of the Yuma Union High School District collegial family, and that's Bill Lucart, to present. The matter as public education funding is complex and complicated, and very few people really understand it and are able to untangle those knots. I would say that construction can be pretty complicated, and then you throw construction in with public education and wow, you get a bunch of knots. So this evening, we're thankful that Bill was able to be with us. This is a study session is a time for the board to be able to interact, ask questions, and if my softness, because I'm not always soft, but your questions are going to go to Bill as the expert if it's about any of the things in the PowerPoint. So Bill, thanks again for being here and for preparing for this, and hopefully all members have received information ahead of time, so I'll turn it over to Bill Lucart.
Great, thank you so much. And just to show, see, I'm happy and smiling, just quick. It's great to be here again in person, and this COVID shows you that people relationships get really reinforced when you see each other and interact, so I'm really pleased to be here. So just a little bit of new information since we have a new board member. My name is Bill Lucart. I'm with Arcadis. We're construction managers, project managers. I've been in the industry for over 30 years. I'm the vice president of the Arizona area, vice president of infrastructure for Arcadis, and we do education and municipal work throughout the state, all the way from the Navajo Nation, the Hopi Nation, all the way down to Yuma and Summerton and San Luis. So we really have a footprint all the way across the state of Arizona, and we've been practicing well over 35 years in the area, and that's our core business. We don't design, we don't construct, we really just help owners, as owners' representatives, deliver projects. So I've been doing this for 30 years. I'm a certified trainer also with the Construction Management Association of America. So a lot of this information, most of it is really a universally accepted information. Its intent is to be two parts of the presentation. One is to talk about Arizona revised statutes, the ability of school districts to do projects, and then focus on what the district has been doing since 2016 with your bond program, and then conclude with kind of with a market analysis of education in Yuma, so that we can judge ourselves with other projects and see how well we're doing. So it's informative, objective, and open for questions and interruption along the way. So there's a lot of information, and if we look at the first slide, it's a pretty slide. I love this picture. It's a Cibola. And I want to talk about that picture because it says a lot about how the district is delivering projects. The shell and core of the Cibola 700s project, it was the first project out of the gate, was delivered with construction manager at risk. We're going to talk about that more. But the general contractor, through the delivery method of construction manager at risk, built the shell. The district direct purchases all the FF&E. So envision all your cabling, all your AV systems, all your low voltage systems, all the racks, all the stuff that makes these rooms work and the academic work. The district, through Dean's Group, direct purchases. That's a huge accomplishment. Not that many owners, public owners, do that, but there's advantages. The second one is, especially on this project, you can see the commercial grade equipment, very expensive. It's competitively purchased directly by the district. So if you put all that FF&E purchase together, and that the district direct purchases a tremendous amount of savings because you're not passing that work through your general contractor. So you're saving 10, 15, 20, even up to potentially 25% of savings without having markup. So it's the smart way to deliver projects, it's the efficient way, and you really get best value. So that picture says a lot about how really sophisticated the district is in the way it does projects. And I think you could pat yourself on the back for that, because not all the districts and municipalities do it that way. Any questions before we move on? Okay. This is a cool slide, and it just shows the breadth of any owner delivering projects. And so you have the district on top, and there's all, the work sessions you're a part of, lots of interaction with staff and the experts of the academic mission of the district. It gets funneled down through leadership up in the district. The star is kind of the board, the governing board that awards contracts, has that authority. The blue boxes on the right, I'd be in one of those boxes as a consultant. I hear when projects are, when I'm asked to be here and then not, so we come and go. Procurement, Lynn is in one of those boxes. That's different function than from us. We don't do procurement. We're just providing project management. Bond counsel, specialty services like material testing, small touches, but they're very important touches that kind of off in that blue box. But the majority of the work is on the general contractor side and the design side. So if we take the architects, you have a prime architect, and then you have a lot of subs. You have mechanical, electrical, plumbing, civil, culinary, if there's culinary in the project, structural, landscape architecture, offsite utility experts. So we as-builted your program, your projects, and on the architect side, whether it's a local architect or a out-of-town architect, 85 to 90% of the sub-design team, sub-consultants, are local. And that's for several reasons. One is there's a competitive advantage. It's good activity. Two is they're local, particularly with like mechanical, electrical, plumbing. Yuma is unique that way, and having local subs is an advantage to the project. On the general contractor side, just the top little green box is your general contractor. So all these relationships, whether it's job order contracting, construction manager at risk, hard bid, design build, that's really just between the district and that one company, the general contractor. But they have all these subs to get the work done. All the green boxes would represent subs. And then you have a tremendous amount of vendors involved. So the majority of the work, obviously, is on the general contractor side. But as built in your projects, safely 80 to 90% of the work on your projects are local subcontractors performing the work. Again, for the same advantages. They're local, they have the expertise to do the work, and that's how the projects have been rolling. But regardless of that, the district is like any other owner, and I've underlined some of the most important aspects from owners is one is cost is very important. Scope, quality, safety, time. Those are all, like when we do training sessions for project management, there's a stool. And to successfully manage a project, it usually has 4 legs, 5 legs, 3 legs, but it's always going to be cost, scope, quality, safety, time, and that's really the foundation of any project. So, any questions on that slide?
You were mentioning that 70 to 80% of the subs are local.
80 to 90.
89 are local.
Yes.
So if the general contractor is from out of town, that means the biggest piece of the pie would be leaving town.
No.
As far as the money.
No. How generally what you're going to, and we'll dive into that, a deep dive. Your general contractor self-performs very little of the work. In some cases, none of the work. If they do self-perform the work, meaning actually building something on site, they're having to compete with other subs. And that's the requirement of construction manager at risk. For example, if I'm contractor X and I run the work and I do concrete, I still have to bid that concrete work to other local contractors or out-of-town contractors to make sure, to prove to the owner that there's a competitive pricing going on. So the general contractor generally is a small percentage of the actual overall construction, particularly on large projects. We'll dive into that a little bit more in a minute.
Okay, I have another question. Go ahead.
Yeah, no, go ahead.
No, if you're gonna.
No, we're gonna talk about that when we do the market analysis.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, what I was gonna mention is, if the general contractor is from out of town, and they take a small piece of the pie,
Yes,
then that small piece of the pie leaves town.
that's true.
That's what I'm getting. That doesn't matter how big or small, the money leaves Yuma County, it doesn't stay in Yuma County.
It would be, except for the staff that they have assigned to the project.
Right.
So if they, for example, if you had a out-of-town contractor with local superintendents, project managers, then those obviously would be in town. But the fees, the profit,
right,
that would go wherever the contractor is.
Correct.
True.
That's what I'm getting.
Yes, you're correct. Okay, so a lot of the discussion is this APDM, Alternative Project Delivery Methods, and this is kind of a strange way to word APDMs in Arizona, because Arizona is very progressive in delivery methods, and everything we're talking about is well over 15 years in practice. So Arizona took the initiative to study projects, their outcomes, successes, failures, and say, what's the best way to deliver projects from the perspective of the owner? And they developed alternative delivery methods, but they weren't the originators of it. A lot of this alternative delivery methods come from other agencies, other states, federal government. For example, job order contracting that we'll talk about came from the federal government. They called it the SABRE program. So there's always a trend for an owner to say, I want the best value. Construction is risky. It's evolving. There's price escalations, there's cost issues, there's budget challenges, specialization needs, quality. So all those things have historically and even today drive owners to say, how is the best way? What's the best way for me to deliver a project? And most of it is driven at the last one, where they're trying to stay out of delays and changes and disputes and accidents and things that really detract from the main purpose of getting their project built. But this trend will continue. Arizona is progressive. For an example, CM at risk here has become the dominant delivery method for all agencies. Design build, we'll talk, is an option, not used as much here. In California, design build is very popular, but now they're just moving into construction manager at risk. In fact, I was taken there as an expert to help LA County develop procurement documents, contracts, and best practices procedure manual for LA County on their most premier, largest project, because they were looking to avoid risk and avoid delays and change and disruptions, and pull the general contractor forward in the process and team early on the special project. So the trends are continuing throughout the state at different paces. Valley Metro is one of our clients for many years. They went from hard bid to design build to CM at risk. And so it's normal for an agency to go and try different things and move through the process. ADOT has even gone beyond all the delivery methods we're talking about here today, and they're in private partnerships, really just a development where they're turning over design, build, operate agreements. So this will continue, this trend will continue, but we're going to focus on what's available to the district and some of the successes and opportunities. Okay, any questions on that one before I move forward? Okay, so what's available to the district, and we're going to talk about these, and these are all enabling legislation over 15 years ago. IFB, which is the invitation for bid, lowest bidder. Hard bid is another term. Job order contracting, really cool delivery method. Not used too much by your district, but still a vehicle that a lot of agencies use. Construction manager at risk, and then design build. So those are really the four ways for the district, for any public agency in Arizona to build their projects. The checks are the ones that the district has used, and we're just stepping off from 2015 November when the bond and moving forward. And we counted a little number there by it. So invitation for bid, the lowest bidder, the districts used 12. You've got, that's not including the 4 that you have on your agenda today. And it's not including a couple that we have bid that we have not brought to the board for award yet. So the majority has been lowest bid. Job order contracting, 3, not too many. Construction manager at risk 3. So this DAO Vista was 1, COFA was another, and then Savola. So on your agenda today is the 4th. So the 3 have been executed today, and then 0 design build. Okay, so if we talk about IFB or lowest bid, the pros, and I think these would be universally accepted. I'm trying to be objective here. It's, the selection is purely lowest initial price. Right? I mean, it's the initial price because you're bidding the document, at hand, the construction documents. And it's most often used for simple, low-risk projects. That's the way the district has used it effectively. I don't see very many agencies at all in Arizona hard bidding. If they do, they're in kind of the sweet spot, 3, 4, 5, 6 million, great level, lower risk dollar-wise, simple projects, straightforward. The cons are adversarial, right? The nature of it is adversarial. You're taking, let's say you have 4 bidders, the lowest one has price risk. So there's always, not always, but there's a high likelihood of adversarial nature for getting money back, change orders, and you get your stories of that. And there's less contractual risk management. Basically, it's price and a set of documents, and you go forward for the project with that. There's no pre-construction involvement by your general contractor. That's different than CMR risk and job order contracting, where you pull the design, the contractor team expertise in and help during the design. So the involvement starts right on bid day for your general contractor. It's not qualifications based or safety selection based. And then there is the opportunity for more change orders and delays, disputes, and claims. And probably that's the biggest driver for most agencies, is they're trying to avoid risk. They're trying to shift risk to the contractor and off of them. And that's one of the drivers for not using invitation for bid. Pinal County, been our client since 2009, does a lot of hard bidding. Their largest project has been 17 million hard bid. Do a lot of $3, $4, $5, $6, $7 million projects. So other than that, there's not a lot of agencies using hard bid still. Special note for lowest bid, IFB, and Sailors is an estimating group, and this is an interesting analysis. So it's all about bid coverage, right? I mean, even if you're painting your house, it's always a good idea to get 3 bids, right? 1 bid, you don't know, you don't have a benchmark on the community of what it costs to do the work, and there's trends where you're going to pay a premium if there's only 1 bidder. 2 to 3 bidders, okay, it's getting better. The sweet spot is 4 to 5 bidders, and if you get more, the better. So that's a special note for IFB, and I think a special note too for Summerton High School, which is the important part of this discussion, is bonding capacity. How many local contractors could even bond a project that size? How many bidders would you get? I mean, there's most agencies, if they were asking me, they would say, would you hard bid a project of that size? Maybe, maybe not. But clearly, if you're not getting good bid coverage, your risk can go up. So that's a special note about bid coverage. Job order contracting is a real sweet delivery method. It's qualifications based, so you're basically getting a contractor, you have an on-call contract. They're limited by statute at $2 million. I think locally you have a $1 million limitation. But it's, you have an existing contract and you're giving purchase orders out and for projects. So administratively, it's very easy, fast, very fast response. We worked for Maricopa County where we took from 7 million, they went up to 17 million. So $17 million a year of major maintenance projects, really fast, really responsive. And your contractors get familiar with the facility directors, they know how to get in, their badge. And so it's really great for major maintenance projects. It's open book. It can be design build, for example. You could make a job order contract where you don't have any scope and you could have a design build team executed under this, and they can do that. So it's really flexible. The cons are you can have higher costs. If you don't have project controls in place, there's a potential for higher costs because you're not getting multiple bids. You could be getting multiple subcontractor bids, but if the general contractors are providing all the work themselves, what do you base it against? Some owners take a unit price book. Some owners do independent estimates, counter estimates, but there's a potential for that for sure. There's limitations on dollar value, 1 to 2 million. So it's really small projects, major maintenance projects. And there's a complaint, you could have a complaint that there's raises the threshold of contractor entry. Meaning if you have a stable of contractors on your contract list, and they're hired on qualifications, you're excluding other contractors because they're not able to compete because they don't have that on-call contract. So that could be a complaint or a con to that delivery method. Any questions?
And I think I understand what you're saying, but are any of the local contractors up to par to do this project?
Which project?
Summerton. What you're talking about, you're mentioning.
Yeah. We have a bid analysis we're going to get to, market analysis. Can you hang on to that comment?
Sure.
Okay, thanks. So construction manager at risk, and these are pros and cons again. So it's qualifications based. Or you hire the most qualified contractor to do the work. You get early integration of the general contractor in the design process, meaning they're basically providing professional services, during design, which is different than hard bidding work. It's open book, fully auditable. When you get a hard bid, it's a price. When you get a GMP from a CM risk, it's all detailed, open book, auditable. We can go into their audits. You can increase control. You have a lot of control. You have the ability to have construction sequencing, logistics, cost modeling. Very effective for keeping projects on budget. And the guaranteed maximum price. So this is an interesting part. So if the first part of their scope is pre-construction services, it's a professional services, the GMP becomes when they become much more a traditional contractor, meaning they're bidding all the work. And subcontractor competitive bidding, it can be based on qualifications of price, just price. And it demands value if it's properly administrated, because envision all that first picture with all those subcontractors. If the relationship is the same as they're bidding the work, you're getting a lot of price competition. And that's an important part of the delivery method. You're paying a negotiated fee to your general contractor and a negotiated profit. You're making them bid all that work, and then you're telling them, you own the risk. That's why owners like it, right? They're shifting the risk through that GMP to the general contractor and off their back. So the cons are, you could, like any delivery method, is you could have potential higher costs. If you're not a studious owner, if you had a contractor that wanted to take advantage of you and you weren't spot checking it, you could have a GMP where there is not good value. It's possible. And again, it raises the threshold of contractor entry, meaning if it's qualifications based and you're hiring the very best contractor for the job, other people aren't getting it. And that's a pro or a con. In this case, it's listed as a con. Okay, so important aspects about CMA risk. So the design phase, the CMAR acts as the consultant to the owner. very similar to us as a consultant. There's no skin on the game. You're buying time and material, you're buying expertise, you're buying their superintendent to look over the drawings and do constructability review and assist with the design, saying, oh, consider this or consider this. They're creating a cost model, say, hey, we can't afford these fixtures, but how about this, how about that? So there's this kind of nice team interaction going on during the pre-construction phase, but it's a service. It's a time and material kind of service. And then the second bullet is when the construction GMP is established, the relationship changes back to more of potentially an adversarial relationship, because now there's a fixed cost and they've got to deliver the project. And how is that risk allocated? Allocated in the GMP. There's separate contracts. So tonight you're going to be asked to award a pre-construction, this first part of the contract, and then it comes back with a GMP. And then you award the GMP. They're two different contracts. And I underlined, if an acceptable construction GMP is not agreed, then the contract is severed. So for an example, any owner that wants to negotiate with your CM at risk, that's the time to do it, right? It's open book, you've seen all the prices, you're seeing the contractor outreach, you're looking at general conditions, you're looking at all the fees, all the costs are all open book, and you're saying, yep, that's agreeable, and there's a recommendation to award. If it's not agreeable, you walk away, or bid it. Go to your second CM at risk, ask them to bid it. That doesn't work out, go to the third. So lots of power and control back to the district. And that's nice. Most owners think that's a nice option. Any comments on that one?
I'm paying close attention.
Yeah.
Some of the things I just do not agree with. I was in construction about 25 years ago.
Yes.
So I'm not completely lost. You're mentioning that outside contractors or local contractors will use local subs. So if it's a local contractor, it's going to still use the same subs.
Correct. They're all competing for the same.
Correct.
Right.
So, but continue. But there are some things that I don't agree with. But go ahead.
Yeah, that's a good point. So if you go to that slide, there's a subcontractor pool. That pool is the same exact pool, no matter if it's design, build, CM at risk, hard bid, job order contracting. One pool of subcontractors and one pool of general contractors. This is a slide out of the ASU. ASU over the years has been a leader in evaluating delivery methods. And the one on the left is the design bid, build, or the low bid, and the CM at risk on the right. And so the org chart's identical. Just the pre-construction, you see the arrow on the right, coordination requirements. So contractually, with the CM at risk delivery method, you're demanding that your general contractor interface with the design team and become an early team member. And all that dialogue is happening. That's very different. And the bottom slide shows the overlap of design and construction. So by moving the contractor forward in the process, you're engaging a lot more teamwork, and you're also able to accelerate project schedules. This site we're on here, as well as the COFO project, had multiple phasing. You remember we had the trailers here, and then we had the infrastructure, and then we were getting permits, and then we were getting GMPs. So all that stuff is moving forward, and its schedules are compressed. And that's one of the advantages of an alternative delivery method, is you're able to, in a teamwork environment, compress these activities, shorten the duration, get the project out and done early, and in a cooperative way. So that's really the advantage. So you can kind of just see it on the bottom is the overlap of contractor into the process early. Okay, so typical types of scope for the construction manager at risk. So on your agenda is the pre-construction on top. The big one is estimating. They estimate constantly, keeping the design team moving forward. The design team is structural issues, or is it grading issues? What's happening with pricing currently? You know, you're losing lumber going up, this, that. All that kind of cost modeling is happening very early, very interactive. To me, that's one of the biggest benefits. The second is scheduling and phasing, early release construction. Like on the Summerton High School project, we know that we've taken a hit with SFB funding this year, but we're not moving the completion date yet. And we're doing that by able to do multiple packages, phasing. We'll talk about in a minute too, but there's 5 funding sources, so that the control of achieving the objectives is a big deal for the delivery method. And so scheduling, phasing, sequencing, early construction, that's an important factor in the conversation tonight. The design assist and constructability reviews, right? So because the advantage is that if let's say we go to construction and there's a drinking fountain on the wall, and drinking fountains now have electricity, like who would have thought? Yeah, I knew it had water. If the electricity is not there under a CMA risk, the contractor assumed that and pays for it. It's not a change order to me, to the district, because they have a contractual obligation to do constructability reviews, to look at the drawings, and they're guaranteeing the work's going to get completed. That's different, right? So the IFB low bid, no, actually that's a change order, and it was a design issue, and the owner's paying for it. And you know, those are some of the risk management. Pushing that risk forward is one of the delivery methods, and that comes one of the benefits of CM risk, and that comes out of this pre-construction phase. If the contractor wasn't there during design, then he doesn't own any of it. But they're there now. They're there in this process, and they own the whole constructability of the project, because they're guaranteeing the project gets delivered. So if there's a big if again, if the owner accepts the GMP, the CM at risk is the kind of the traditional general contractor role. They're not providing a professional service. They're providing general contracting. They're responsible for the cost of the project. It is a guaranteed maximum project. The CMAR must bid subcontractor work, so that pool of contractors, same pool of contractors are playing both worlds, and you're maintaining that project team concept throughout the duration of the project. So the green now is really kind of where it shifts right to Summerton, because I know that's the point of the discussion, a lot of it. And so we did a market analysis, and I made some notes. We took district projects, we took local education projects by other districts, and we gave that to our independent estimator, Praveen, and had her digest out the costs of projects. Tell me, does it cost more to do CM risk? Are we paying a premium? Are we getting a better deal? You know, what's the true cost? And it's not that easy. Every project is different. Like the first picture, the furnishings on that project are percentage-wise are really high. I mean, very expensive. But FF&E in general can be 10% of a project. I was making notes earlier, one of the IFB projects that was just completed, it was 80% of the project because it was a renovation project, but most of it was stuff getting put into it. So to compare one project to another project is difficult, but I said, let's do it and see what happens. And I made some notes too about what the estimator looks at. So these are just some of the schedules. So what we're going to talk about is the building shell. So shell and core is the term. You might remember that term. So it's like this building was a shell and core, and it didn't include any of these furnishings. It didn't include any of the AV. It didn't include the wires that run the AV. Dean was not included, but you're manage a lot of the work. But essentially, the build out of the entire place, inside stuff, flags, you know, dispensers. So we just said to make it the most objective, let's just do the shell and core. But you have to filter through site work, infrastructure. Some of these projects that we're going to analyze or like a new green build, like a Summerton High School, where you have parking lots and sports fields, so you can't really say, what's the cost per square footage, because it's skewed, because, well, no, I'm building 200 parking spaces, I'm building sports fields, I'm building, bleachers, or am I just building a building? So we just said, well, let's look at the building. You have to look at general conditions. General conditions and requirements are the cost to do the work. So project manager costs, superintendent, like a COFA project, they had 3 project engineers and 2 superintendents, 1 project manager. That project required an active campus. So you have a lot of control on your subcontractors. I was really pleased to see that, because it's to run a safe construction project during academic, busy with kids, you need to have more management. So that more management, less management is all in the general conditions of trailers, construction trailers, trucks, things like that. Then you have liability insurance. Everybody has to carry that. You have builder's risk insurance. You have performance and payment bonds, fee and profit, taxes, 65% of the total. So like on Summerton High School, it's $2 million in taxes. Half of that go to the city. Contingency, and then you have escalation. So you have all these things happening, but we said, let's kind of normalize local education projects and say, is there good value being achieved? That was kind of the intent. And so this was the best kind of market analysis, and it's by time, 2020 to 2016. It's education, K through 12, and it's local. So we put the title down, so we can start on top. So Summerton Elementary Ifb, so that was a low bid. $245 a square foot. But that number includes site work, right? It's a new build school, food service equipment. It was a bid only, so it was the initial price, and that was in May, the most recent. So you can start to gather some information there. But it's a part bid project, so you just get a number, you don't get a full breakout. Dorothy Hall Elementary was a CM at risk delivery method, $219. And that includes site work, but no FF&E, it was a new build, 2019. COFA, your project, building 4, 181, 96 square foot site work and FF&E. Or outside that number, right? It was just an existing campus, and I'm putting a building down in there. That was 2018. Vista High School, 174, and that included a little bit of site work and limited FF&E. This building in District DAO, 201, and that included site work, elevator, and limited FF&E. And the Savola building, the first CMI risk project at 168.45, site work and FF&E were outside that. That was the picture from the beginning of the slide. So you start to gather from this and saying, well, is there good value being delivered? Is there a difference between low bid or CMI risk? And it's really difficult to say that one way or the other is there's a cost advantage. It seems like if you're totally open book, you're bidding your subcontractors, and you have sufficient management, you're getting good value out of whatever delivery method you choose. So that would be my analysis here. But you can't just take the pricing is also in years, so 4 years of escalation. From 2016, that's the beginning, that GMP is established at the beginning of the project. We've had many years of escalation, but it feels right. It feels like the district is getting good value in comparison to other districts, as well as in comparison to the most recent hard bid project. So that's a lot of information, but any questions on that? Okay. So this kind of wraps up, yeah.
Going back to the years, the Right there. So if we look at per year, and we look at COFA, the gym, it's 2018.
Yep.
And then COFA, the building 4.
Yep.
That's 181,000 square foot.
$181 a square foot.
$181 per square foot, sorry. And 165 per square foot.
Yeah.
And that's the same year.
Yes.
Okay, so be specific. What's the difference if it's the same year?
And that's interesting, yeah. So, like we said, no project is the same. So envision having a gym with really wide spans and lots of less interior walls and glazing. So when you go into COFA building 4, it's a fairly heavy building with glazing, glass. There's a lot of glass inside, and a lot of interior rooms. So the advantage of this big space of a gym is you have a lot of less interior walls, but you're spending more for masonry and height. So it's a good example that not every project is, it's hard to compare project to project. It's hard to make any kind of sense of this clearly to say, well, this is better because the industry is not taking a hard bid and a cement risk and delivering the same exact project identically and saying, well, what's the difference? What's the difference in price? It's so you have to take this with it as a summary and say, it feels like the projects are all being delivered efficiently. Is a good comparison.
Right, and the reason I asked that question is each project is unique.
Yes.
And it's not one set of rules for all the projects.
Correct.
And there's times you have to tweak and move and you can have a price range. So
Right.
each one's completely different.
Exactly. And I think too, I guess your question about for Summerton, who would bid it? We have a $46 million, so your contract with DLR to design was for $46 million. We're expecting a $46 million GMP. Locally, you have 5 contractors, 6. Out of those 5 or 6, how many can bond a $46 million project? As far as I know, maybe 1. So
What would that be?
I'm not going to name names, but we did an analysis of the Summerton Elementary and looked at bonding capacity. I have some notes here on that. Summerton L had 5 bidders, which is good, right? Good spread. 3 were from Yuma area, and 2 were from Phoenix. Our analysis is 1 of those bidders could actually have the bonding capacity, the financial ability, and you would be maxing them out. So then you're saying, well, what would my bid strategy be? You'd have to definitely do outreach. You'd have to definitely guarantee that you're getting a lot of bids, competent bids, and ones that financially have strength to do the project. I think immediately, and that's one of the district's decisions, right? You're going to award your cement risk procurement on your agenda. If you didn't, I think you'd have to say, I really need to make sure I do a very strong follow-up bid analysis, make sure I have bid coverage. 2 is you'd have to look very carefully at your schedule. I mean, I think the schedule we have currently would have to be changed because we're looking at 5 different funding sources and we're looking at early release of projects, and then the funding comes, and then you have a grand opening in the summer of 2023. There's no way you would do that without a alternative delivery method, because you would do a design, you do a bid, you do a construction. So we'd lose our window of opportunity for that, which is a decision point. You would then just push out 6 months to a year on that schedule. So I think if the board would to move in that direction, you'd have to consider those things. So the summary, I think, of the outcomes, because back to alternative delivery methods and project delivery and what owners want, how is, risk is an issue, but they're trying to get outcomes, more guaranteed outcomes. We had,
I just want to clarify on that statement. Back to Mr. Lara's question. Out of those, you say maybe 5 local general contractors who have the ability to bid or could bid, and
Well,
maybe only one bond. Even with the at risk, they're still eligible to bid as a general contractor, correct?
at CM at risk, they could bid as a subcontractor. So for an example, the second lowest bidder on Summerton is normally a subcontractor on other projects, and that's how they roll. So it would only, it wouldn't exclude any of them from competing for the work at a subcontractor level.
Right.
You're just not able to be the general contractor. Correct, that's correct.
And the bonding capacity automatically eliminates a lot of them,
It eliminates all but one, as far as I know,
except one.
except one. Now, they could potentially team and put together a financial arrangement, like a JV, a joint venture or something, but, I mean, who really wants a maxed out general contractor financially on your project? I mean, what owner wants that? I mean, I have run projects that have been taken over by bonding, by sureties. It's not pretty, but it's insurance company taking over the project and finishing your project, you know, months and months and months and months late, essentially. But the expected outcomes, I mean, because we, as a management approach, we want to focus on the outcome, you know, a grand opening, and time is a big deal. I mentioned that right now we are trying our hardest to not get delayed by SFB and still meet that groundbreaking. So we're going to need a lot of participation from the general contractor, multiple shifts potentially, multiple GMPs. We may be bringing multiple GMPs to you, 1, 2, 3. So the control of that and trying to meet the academic calendar is a big deal. Cost is important. We've got 5 funding sources, and then when we come back with the city of Summerton, you know, they have funding capabilities, so we really have a lot of partners on these projects, so managing those, each one has different constraints, grant constraints we have to make sure we're careful on, and we need to have open book transparency, so when we present that GMP to you, you'll know the local participation, you'll know the competitive pricing, and if it's not right, it won't be presented to you. But cost is an important control point. Scope, you know, achieving the academic objectives is important, and continuing. We've got a pretty flawless record on your projects with all the delivery methods for safety. The safety is, you know, always on front of our burner. So those are the outcomes we're hoping to have, and I'm available for any other questions you might have.
Any questions from any other board members? Laura?
No, what I'm just trying to do is, I always like to keep it local, as much as possible.
Yes.
And if there's a local contractor that can do it, that's what I'm looking out for.
Right.
And I think there are local contractors that can do it, as long as they meet the requirements, and that's what I'm trying to do here.
Any other discussion or questions?
No, I really appreciate, going through, the whole analysis and showing, that was just really educational for me and I appreciate it. Thank you.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you very much. Okay, is there a motion to adjourn the study session?
Second.
Motion has been made by Mr. Gonzalez, second by Ms. Mellon to adjourn the study session. All in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed? Motion carries. We will be in adjournment. Somewhere, Mr. Tyree.
Mr. Townsend. I'm gonna pull my mask off for just a moment here so you can hear me a little bit better, but maintain my socially appropriate 6-foot distancing so I don't catch whatever you have or vice versa, okay? Anyway, it's very much a pleasure to be here tonight at this meeting, and especially to administer the oath of office to 3 newly elected board members. What I want to do is, first of all, number one, thank all of the board members, and I know that I do this on behalf of the people in this room and everybody in the community. We thank all of you for your service to our community, and I am a little repetitive, but I keep talking about the fact that I don't believe there's any higher calling of service that people can provide to our community and to our students, especially than serving on a governing board member, especially when sometimes as either they know or will learn, for those of you that are new board members, is that sometimes it's not always the most appreciated position. So we really appreciate very much what they do, and once again, I know I speak for all of you when I say that. They're very dedicated people, put a lot of hours, and obviously receive no pay for that. So, and then also once again, I want to congratulate Mr. Townsend for being our community citizen of the year person, and I believe that a lot of that has to do with the fact that because of the work and leadership he's provided to the high school district over many years. So, Bill, congratulations. Thanks again. I know that's embarrassing a little bit, but nevertheless, I think you said. So with that, what I'm going to ask is Mr. Alada, Mr. Gonzalez, and Ms. Allen, please stand, and I will administer the oath of office.
We'd love to move forward to you.
You know what? In place, or if you want to come up here, because I think you want to take a picture or something afterward, right? So if you guys want to stand right here, I'm not running the shindig. This council is just so do whatever he tells you, but this is fine. Okay. So if you would please raise your right hand and repeat after me. I, and then state your name, do solemnly swear or affirm
I, Shirley Mallon, do solemnly swear
that I will support the Constitution of the United States and the Constitution and laws of the state of Arizona,
that I will support the Constitution of the United States and the Constitution and laws of the state of Arizona,
that I will bear true faith and allegiance to the same and defend them against all enemies, foreign and domestic,
that I will bear true faith and allegiance to the same and defend them against all enemies, foreign and domestic,
and that I will faithfully and impartially discharge the duties of governing board member for the Yuma Union High School District
and that I will faithfully and impartially discharge the duties of the governing board member for the Union High School District
according to the best of my abilities, so help me God.
So help me God.
Okay, congratulations.
An opportunity to take a picture by our student work firm who's come to take pictures, and Mr. Gonzalez, I believe you must have Galilee, if you would. If we can,
One time out of 4 years.
we're gonna have.
Okay, right, I got you, okay.
Famous today.
You the
You want certificates or no certificates?
What would you like for us to do in terms of proposal? Ms. Thompson?
Come in. We're smiling.
Thank you, Mr. Terry.
See you Saturday. You've got about 10 minutes before we have to start next week, which is fine.
I know, it's so.
Sorry.
We'll call this meeting of the Yuma Union High School District number 1770 Governing Board to order. We'd like to thank everybody for coming, welcoming our new board member and our re-elected board members back. Thank you all. Our first item, we're going to move the action item 6.1, election of president and vice president, to the next item. We will open the nominations for president. Does anybody have any nominations?
I would like to nominate Phil Townsend as president.
I'll second that.
Okay. Phil Townsend's name has been put in nomination. Any other nominations? Are there any other nominations? Will we get third call for any other nominations?
Good try.
Railroad job. Is there a motion to close nominations?
So moved.
Second.
Okay, it's been moved and seconded to close nominations. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Is there a motion to elect Phil Townsend president?
I would like to, especially nominate Ms. Shelley Mellon as vice president.
Okay, we need to vote on the president first. We'll just vote on closing and then we'll vote on the president, then we'll open it. Okay.
I move that we close.
Second.
The motion has been made by Ms. Mellon, seconded by Ms. Kravitz to elect Phil Townsend president. All in favor? Any discussion? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Thank you all very much. I appreciate your confidence.
Thank you. Thank you.
For vice president, we are now accepting nominations. Mr. Gonzalez.
Yes, I would like to nominate the vice president, Ms. Shelley Mellon.
Second.
Motion has been made by Mr. Gonzalez, second by Mr. Lara, to nominate Ms. Mellon for vice president. Are there any other nominations? Are there any other nominations? Third time, are there any other nominations? Is there a motion to close nominations for vice president?
So moved.
Second.
Moved and seconded by Ms. Kravitz and Mr. Lara to close nominations. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries unanimously. All in favor of Ms. Mellon for vice president? Is there a motion for Ms. Mellon for vice president? Okay. Okay, Mr. Lara and Ms. Kravitz. Is there any discussion? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Congratulations, Ms. Mellon.
Thank you. Thank you.
Okay, moving on, board member reports. Board members may have a discussion about conferences, visitations, legislation, special recognition, donations, etc. Does any board member have anything they would like to bring up at this time?
I do, Mr. Chairman.
Yes, Mr. Gonzalez.
Okay, first and foremost, I would like to congratulate you,
Thank you.
Mr. Townsend, for the selection of 2020 Yuma County Citizen of the Year. Very
Thank you.
well deserved. I would also like to say that it is an honor and privilege for me to be here today and be your new board member. I have heard much about you, and it's exciting for me and my family to be part of your team. I don't know most of you that well, but what I have heard, you have done some amazing work, so happy to be here.
Well, welcome aboard. Thank you very much. Any other board members? Hearing none, we'll move on. Superintendent's report. Mrs. Thompson.
Thank you, President Townsend, governing board members. Before we get into the student council reports, I know that I send you weekly updates and different information. Want to again thank you for your leadership in the project manager position. We have Ryan Quick, who provides us the safety information. She has truly proven to be an asset to our district and quite frankly to our whole community. And I know we met her last month. But I do want to make sure that you, it was an email sent to you today, so in case you didn't get those numbers, just for the week of the 2nd of January through the 8th of January, we have 32 staff COVID-19 positive, 30 additional staff exposed, and even during distance learning, we're so thankful for our parents staying connected and our students staying connected. They do report their exposures repeatedly to their campuses, and which comes to us, and we currently, just for that week, have 20 students that have reported through their family or through themselves as COVID exposed. We all know that the numbers of, so much of it is self-reporting, and just really, again, appreciative of the the system that we have in place in Union High School District. When it comes to staff, we have definitely a formal system where supervisors meet repeatedly and really help their staff go through the process. Sadly, we've lost two of our members for our district to COVID-19 that were actual employees. And then, of course, just every day that we have losses of family members. So it's a sad time, and yet our staff and faculty continue to perform at the highest levels and continue to report for work. So wanted to make sure to give you those numbers in case you didn't see them. With that report, we're going to go into more of the reason why we are here for Yuma Union High School District, and that is our student council reports. We have 3 schools. We continue that. We have 3 schools. We do 3 every month. And this month we have Cibola High School starting us off, and just a reminder for those new to our system, or a new information for those new, and reminder for those who are returning. These are all virtual at this point, and student council develops these on their own and sends them to us for presentation to you all, so that you can also stay connected, because even though might not be on campus, there's a lot of campus stuff going on, and we're super proud of our student leadership that they continue to power through the pandemic. So Cibola High School.
Hello, my name is Diego Servín, and I'm a junior at Cibola High School.
Hi, my name is Mary Fleck, and I'm a senior at Cibola High School.
We'll start with community service. Cibola student council members recorded Christmas carols to send out to local nursing homes.
The next item I'm going to present to you is outstanding accomplishments. The Cibola High School Library has been awarded $1,250 as a grant from the Believe in Reading Literacy program.
5 rated swimmers were also named to the all-academic swim and dive team. 5 additional swimmers received honorable mentions.
Senior Aiden Dusek won the state championship for the individual 100-yard backstroke. Dusek is the first individual state champion swimmer in Cibola history.
Senior Madison Matthews also signed with Northern Illinois University to play softball for them.
All 4 Cibola girls golfers made the all-academic state team. Senior Carmela Brianza was named as first team all-academic.
Performing Dance for Cibola released a holiday video showcasing their hard work during the virtual first semester.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Thank you, Cibola High School. Next up, we have Healer Ridge High School.
Hello, good afternoon, and hope you guys had a great holiday season. My name is Alex Bustamante, and I'm the student body president at Healer Ridge High School. And here's an update on what has happened since I've last seen you guys in October. And starting off with Cancer Awareness Week. In October, I had mentioned to you guys that Student Council will be hosting its first annual Cancer Awareness Week that ran from November 2nd to November 6th to spread awareness about breast cancer and childhood cancer. And it was a success. Around 1,000 students and teachers either received a pin or had one attached to their backpack, and each were handed a flyer with statistics and places to donate. Here are the ultimate highlights of the month for the month of November. Student of the month went to Rebecca Sanchez. Athlete of the month went to Jeffrey Moraga. The staff of the month went to our paraprofessionals. And finally, the ultimate teacher of the month of November went to Ms. Francisco. These Hawks received this award for their nonstop hard work and their dedication to ensuring students at Gila Ridge receive the necessary resources they need to succeed. Gila Ridge Student Council wanted to spread some holiday cheer to lighten up the season for those that have had it harder than others during this pandemic. They came together and brought over 150 cards to military, retirement homes, and Team Cure, an organization that takes childhood back from cancer by sending cure bundles full of toys and goodies to young cancer fighters. The Gila Ridge cheer team placed top 5 in the 2020 EAA Spirit Line State competition. Before competition, our cheer team was not allowed to practice for a month, but with just 2 weeks before competition, they were granted permission to practice again. They decided to work hard and learn the routine virtually, with nightly Zoom calls and a full Canvas page with videos and assignments. And a big congratulations to all 10 of Ms. Stock's nursing students for passing their state exams and becoming certified nursing assistants before even graduating high school. This is Ms. Stock's 3rd consecutive year of having a 100% passing rate for her nursing students. The whole fine arts community here at Gila Ridge came together to present music, art, and theatrical performance in a virtual open mic night. The Student Council knows that this year has taken a lot of twists and turns, but we remember that you can't keep a good hawk down. In a normal year, Student Council would put together a big assembly so that clubs and sports can showcase themselves. But this year, we couldn't do that. So, Student Council worked together with choir and dance to put together Gila Ridge's first ever virtual club assembly to still spread some holiday cheer during the season. The video was posted on the Canvas homepage, giving students direct access to it. And that is all it from Gila Ridge. I want to thank you guys for giving us the opportunity to showcase the school and for all the non-stop hard work you guys have been putting in to ensure that all Yuma Union High School students still receive the quality education during these times. We had a great first semester over here at Gila Ridge and are ready to start off the spring semester with the ball rolling. You guys have a great rest of your week and stay safe.
Thank you so much to Gila Ridge High School, and next we have Vista High School.
Good afternoon, Superintendent Thompson, President Townsend, Associate Superintendents, and members of the board. I would like to take a moment to share what the Vista Lobos have been doing and thank you for your time. Students have been using their HAL cards to promote the well-being in their communities by donating their HAL Earn points to contribute to the Yuma Community Food Bank, Amberley's Place, Crossroads Missions, and One Tree. So far, the Lobos have donated 198 meals to the Yuma Community Food Bank, planted 4 trees, donated 2 hygiene kits to the Crossroads Missions, and 1 food kit has been donated to Amberley's Place. The awesome thing about this is not only just a student-driven community project, this is also by staff members. Mr. Moya was nominated the Econ Hero and who described him as an energetic teacher that invites students to understand and learn about the world economy as they participate and deep dive in the area of personal finance. Keep up the great work. We also held our Winter 2020 ceremony, and we are grateful to provide this experience for our Lobos. It was a nice, intimate ceremony with a lot of great experiences. Congratulations, winter graduates of 2020. 4 garden members also took seeds, soil, and mini pots to begin the process of growing our plants to later transplant. We are excited to see the students and bring the plans and see their progress. Thank you for your time, and we are always excited to see what the Vista Lobos are doing on campus.
Thank you, Vista High School. It's so fun to see how each campus is so unique, but one thing that is constant is their relentless pursuit of being great leaders on their campus. It is across the board. They are so adaptable and flexible. And it's fun because not only do they cross-district collaborate, but they're still competitive because they all want to outdo one another. So it's just, it's been amazing to watch them grow and develop during this difficult time. And having met with all of them, there's absolutely not one time that I remember any kind of victim mentality or, just they all know that they're in this place and they're in this together and they're going to still provide service. I also thought it was a real testament to our students in Yuma County that when they came to talk to me, their first question was, how can we fundraise? But they wanted to be really clear why they were fundraising. They weren't fundraising for them to go on trips or for sweatshirts or paraphernalia for, the swag, so to speak, for their campus. They were fundraising because they always donate so much to the community, and how are we going to continue to donate right now when people need it the most? How can we make that happen? And it's hard. It's just, that's our why. You just need those moments, and I just continue to be so proud of the students and what they accomplish. So those short snips of viewing our student councils represent a lot of students in Yuma County, over 11,000. So thank you for your leadership in providing what we do for them. Joining us virtually this evening is Jennifer Johnson from Grand Canyon University, and we're glad to see our partner and glad to see you, Jennifer. She's also a mentor for me in the Superintendent's Collaborative with GCU and ASA. So thank you for being here, and I know you have a guest with you as well, Jennifer. But we have a virtual presentation, and the fun part is the person doesn't know that they're getting an award. So I kept it secret, Jennifer. I'm turning it over to you. I think you're muted still, Jennifer. We're having a hard time hearing you.
How many times have we said that in meetings, right? Is that better?
Yeah.
Thank you. Again, thank you for this opportunity to share this time with you. It is wonderful as a having been a high school district superintendent in a previous lifetime. I miss those opportunities to have the kind of interactions you all get to have with your students. You have so much to be proud of. Again, congratulations and our best wishes for a great second semester and an awesome 2021. I'm here this evening to share an award that GCU sponsors alongside Soul Architects, which is why our guest Caroline Lobel is going to join me. Every month we celebrate principals across the state. Many districts have sent in nominations, and we select the best ones to celebrate a principal of the month. And these principals have excelled in academic achievement or innovation or social emotional learning. They've done really important things to help create the right kind of culture that it takes to maximize student success. And tonight, we're lucky enough to get to celebrate one of your principals. We are going to celebrate Mr. Arvizu from San Luis High School. So I'm not sure where he is. But we certainly are very, very proud of him. As I said, we get a lot of different nominations from across the state, and we select the best ones to to be able to celebrate. So, Mr. Arvizu, I know your nickname is Lucky, and I would just say that the Yuma community is lucky to have you as a leader for its young people and its families. In the nomination that we received, they highlighted how your work with FAFSA completion has brought you notoriety and award from the governor. And so we know that the extra effort that you have gone to, that you've demonstrated in terms of building the right kind of culture, the right kind of teamwork, and a commitment to your students' futures is what earned you that award, and quite frankly, earned you this award. So congratulations on all you've done in that area. The nomination described you as innovative, mature, and nurturing as a leader. And I think those are tremendously powerful characteristics. And I want to thank you for your decision to be an educator in Arizona. And I want to congratulate you on being an educator of such efficacy and success in Yuma County. The other thing I would highlight from your nomination form is the idea that you make preparing students for their future a family affair, that you really help not just the students that you serve, but their families as well. Ensure that everyone is prepared for your graduates' life in college, their career, and their ability to contribute to a community. You go above and beyond the call of duty every day. I know it probably doesn't seem like a lot to you. It's probably just a part of your character, part of your DNA. But we want you to know from Grand Canyon University, President Brian Mueller, the 23,000 undergraduate students, many of whom come from Yuma. Just want to say thank you very much for all that you do. And we want to just celebrate you tonight. A gift box is on its way. And in that gift box, you'll find all kinds of GCU swag, including a framed certificate commemorating this award and a really cool antelope plaque that we hope that you share in your office so that people know that other people outside of Yuma think you are just super. So Superintendent Thompson, thank you very much for this time. I'm going to turn it over to Caroline Lobo from Soul Architects. Good evening, Caroline.
We can't hear you, Caroline, if you can.
Now you can hear me, right? Thank you. Well, congratulations, Mr. Abrizo, and Jennifer, thank you for that introduction. I am so happy to be talking to you. You know, I'm always amazed with this program that showcases the light on, you know, principals such as you who make a difference in the lives of our next generation, really trying to nurture the gifts that they have and bring them in a direction that will support our communities, and it will, you know, take us into the future. You know, I am a product of STEM, science, technology, engineering, art, and math. So I always include art in it because, you know, for me as an architect, technology and engineering is as important as the art component. And it's only befitting to be supporting this program because I am just encouraged by the effort that principals such as you put into these programs to bring the next generation up and, you know, helping firms, engineering firms, you know, shape the talent for the future. So as a token of my appreciation, my firm's appreciation, and on behalf of GCU, the small little gift of $500 is coming your way. I know you know, you spend more than that on your students, but hopefully we can, you know, subsidize a little bit of that with this $500 gift card. So congratulations once again. And, you know, any help that you need from us, we will be there to help you out.
All right. Well, hey, I want to thank you. Jennifer, I know you mentioned that I was, one of the attributes was that I was mature. I'm mature every once in a while. Also, Caroline, I appreciate the $500 gift certificate. My CFO is right here, right in front of me. Make sure I can accept that. But I just want to thank you again. You know, the accolade, it's a team effort. You know, everybody at the school, the administrators, the teachers, the students, they just have a commitment to excellence, and it just makes it much easier as a principal to do what needs to be done.
So I accept this honor on behalf of our school and all our team and administrators, and I really appreciate it. Thank you. It was a great surprise. I didn't realize I was expecting my So again, thank you very much. Appreciate it. Thank you.
Mr. Arby, so now I will send you a copy of the letter that was sent in to nominate you. I always love it when we can pull off a surprise and make some of my favorite people squirm just a little bit to be recognized. So thank you so much, ladies, for joining us this evening. Appreciate both of you.
You bet. Have a great meeting.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
President Townsend and governing board members, we also have one more special recognition this evening, and I thank Principal Fritz for joining us for this special presentation.
Very good. Thank you, Mrs. Thompson. Thank you, governing board, for having me this evening. I'm here tonight to recognize Mr. Townsend. He is our 2020 Yuma County Citizen of the Year. I've heard a couple times already tonight. Mr. Townsend has set out to make Yuma a better place, and that's why he's earned this award. I think a few other things that he's done throughout the years, but it's clear that he's earned this award by all the hard work and all the things he's given back to our community. He's been an amazing supporter of our Yuma County's youth. He not only supports our district by representing our district on the board, but he also supports other schools in our area. He also supports the University of Arizona, of course. He's a volunteer for over 25 years with the 4-H. He's also helped out the Crossroads mission in various ways. When I was preparing to speak today, I counted over 15 other boards that he has served on over the years, which is quite impressive. He's also helped out with at least six other organizations from what I could find, including Amberley's Place and Bridges Skipped. So it's clear the theme is that he helps out our youth in our county, and that he's definitely earned this award. It's clear that he truly cares about our community and Yuma County, and as a Yuma High School principal, I can say we're very proud of you, and we're proud that you represent Yuma High School every day in our community. So congratulations on this award, and thank you for all that you do. And go Criminals!
Thank you very much, Mr. Fritz, and I am let me think about this. 3 of my grandparents were criminals, both of my parents were criminals, my wife's parents were criminals, my wife was a criminal, I was a criminal, and my 2 children were criminals. So we belong in prison, I guess. So thank you very much.
Thank you, Mr. Townsend. Thank you, everyone.
Thank you, Mr. Fritz. Appreciate you. President Townsend, that concludes my report.
Thank you, Ms. Thompson. Moving on, informational items, the budget update, overview of the 2020-21 Yuma Union High School District internal budget. Ms. Portery, you're up. You're already moving.
All right. I'm getting a little slower, so I have to start early. All right, so for our maintenance and operation budget, we should be about halfway through. This is as of January 4th, 2021. We have spent 38% of our maintenance and operation budget, so we spent a little over $30 million of our $80 million budget. For our capital, we have spent 2% of that budget. We spent $213,000 of a $12.5 million capital budget. Again, the reason that we have such large reserves at this point is because we are anticipating a new high school, and we will need those funds to be able to move forward with that. I want to talk a little bit about our COVID expenses and where we are, because I've been here several months and said, we have received no money, but guess what? We've received money. So we want to celebrate that just a little bit. We have $5.1 million in total COVID-related expenditures as of today. We still struggle with DEMA, so we were told buy all of the masks and hand sanitizer and gloves and all of that. We did. We went out and spent just a little bit shy of $800,000. We have requested for $309,000. Just immediately before this meeting, I got our first denial of those funds. And the reason is they said they were going on the California model, which students weren't in class, so they want us to prove to them what our burn rate is on all of these supplies. So we now need to have to go day by day and say how many of these items we had on stock, that we had on hand at the time. So very time consuming, as you can imagine, and a little frustrating. Moving right along though, for our enrollment stabilization grant, I was a little surprised that we opened the mail and had a $2.2 million check in the mail. They sent us the full amount, and so now we have process to go through and demonstrate to them how we spent those funds and what they were for. As a reminder, that was a little bit less than what we thought. It's about $1 million shy of where we thought we were gonna get, the amount that we were gonna get. But then they came along with ESSER, so we have ESSER still going on. And that was a $2.5 million grant as well. We have received $626,000 of those funds. That was to assist us with our student nutrition costs that we had from last fiscal year. So we were able to recoup some of that to help our student nutrition with some food costs and things like that as they were doing the drive-through for our students to be able to have breakfast and lunch. And then we have the second ESSER grant that has just come out. And I'm hesitant to say this because I have not seen anything official in writing, but our preliminary estimates are that we should be receiving $10 million for that. So keep your fingers crossed, we hope so. That would certainly help us a lot, but at least we're starting to see some of those funds come in now. Mind you, we have spent, like I said, $5.1 million, and to date we've received maybe close to half of that. So we've still incurred the expenses and had to spend that money ahead of time, but hopefully we'll be able to recoup some of that as we go on. Any questions?
Yes, Ms. Kravitz.
I don't have a question as much as a comment I wanted to make before everybody and say thank you so much for all the explaining, all of the dedication, all of the time that your staff put in. Our students and staff are so much better for it. So thank you.
Well, we all have a common goal, so that's the purpose. Keep our kids going in the right direction, right? All right, thank you so much.
Thank you very much, Ms. Porter.
President Townsend, if I might, just as a point of memory, while that was our first denial of FEMA, let's please remember that the original input, the original documents that we put in after all of the work that did go into that, the rules were changed. So this is the first denial of a new rule implementation after all of the work was done in the prior rules. And I don't think that should go unsaid because, yes, we are especially blessed in Yuma Union High School District to have staff that is dedicated and, quite frankly, mature in their expertise, especially led by Ms. Porter. But, you know, I also feel it necessary to speak for all of public education. Not everybody has that. And I also would just like to remind us that the political speak doesn't always equate to the actual doing of the work when the work goes to get done. So I thank you, Mrs. Kravitz, for mentioning Ms. Corduroy and her, all of the work of her staff, but we have a long way to go in this difficult time, and so I'm very proud of all of the work that we all do together. Thank you for your leadership, all of you, in getting us through this as well.
Thank you. Moving on, item 3.2, academic update, instructional coaching, and academic instruction, Mrs. Thompson and Mrs. Anderson.
Thank you, and I am going to turn this over to Ms. Anderson.
And I would like to invite our Chief Academic Officer, Eric Brooks, to the podium. And Mr. Brooks and his team are going to give an academic update for Yuma Union High School District.
Thank you. President Townsend, congratulations, members of the board. What would an academic presentation be without a little homework? So, I know we've done a couple of things. I know in the month of December, our teaching and learning team was tasked with providing a white paper for all of you to read in regards to what our learning has looked like since the pandemic. And so I know you all received that in December, and I look forward to any questions and comments that you might have on it, but it was well done and authored by two of the people I'm about to bring up now as they take us through a presentation. Any presentation that we do in regards to academics is going to be a little dramatic, so you're going to see me go sit behind Ms. Mellon because to you, Mr. Lauer, and to you, Mr. Townsend. I thought of you when we came up to this park, and Ms. Mellon is going to represent the entire board as we take a student through a learning session. So I'd like to call up Ms. Jessica Curry and Ms. Dee Frazine, the authors of the white paper that you so wonderfully read in December. Ms. Curry and Ms.
Ladies, welcome to the microphone. I know neither one of you are shy and you're used to speaking to lots of kids, and adults are always more difficult, quite frankly, but if you could speak directly into the microphone so everyone can hear you. Thank you.
Thank you. President Townsend, members of the board, Superintendent Thompson, and Associate Superintendents, it is our pleasure to present to you how Yuma Union High School District has continued to push for quality instruction during a pandemic to ensure educational excellence for our students. So as we do this, our intention is to take you into the minds and the world of a student. So what you see up on the screens is actually the student view of an engagement software that we use on all campuses, amongst others. So as I move through the presentation, Ms. Mellon will automatically move. This is called Nearpod. So this is something that your students out in the community might be using with their teachers to help with online engagement during distance learning or hybrid. So we're going to use this to kind of simulate that experience for you. So the very first part of this, we would like to take you back to the beginning of the school year, thinking of a non-COVID environment, which I'm sure we all long for at this point. But what would you be doing, or someone that you know, maybe grandchildren, nieces, nephews, to prepare for the upcoming school year? So that, I want you to think about that in your mind. That might be shopping for school supplies, or preparing a schedule for childcare, preparing a work schedule. So as we do that, you'll be able to see Ms. Mellon be able to collaborate on the board here as students would in Nearby. So think about that answer for yourself. We're all, yes, we can.
Goodness sakes, I have to spell.
You're brave soul, you're typing in front of other people. You're doing a great job.
Okay. Sorry.
You're doing a great job. See, Ms. Mellon is doing what most of our students will do if we supply them with examples ahead of time. But she has great examples for doing the schedule, school supplies, connecting maybe with family members and that kind of thing before a school year starts, taking a big trip. And so we wanted to highlight today some of the things that we might not think about that were happening behind the scenes this year in a COVID environment, specific to our teachers and our students. So this is our first submission, so you can see what a student might see. They have the opportunity, teachers have the opportunity to approve comments as they come in, but then students can collaborate together, almost as if they were in a classroom with a whiteboard where they would write their answers. So keeping that in mind,
I'm going to take you into a brief introduction and background. Transformation and growth have become two mainstays in the DNA of Yuma Union High School District. So much so that when we transitioned to remote teaching and learning in March of 2020, the collaborative infrastructure from top down laid a strong foundation for the success of our students. There were two critical periods in which YUHSD assessed and adjusted: March through May, and then again June through December. As we researched with our colleagues, we came to realize how much across the district could collaborate. Administration to administration, instructional leader to instructional leader, personalized professional learning communities to other professional learning communities within our district, all the efforts to develop innovating and engaging virtual classrooms. We felt it critical to share that our focus in March was grace before grades, relationships before rigor, patience before programs, love before lessons, and Maslow before blooms. Come August, we would add what strategies, logistics, communication with stakeholders, funding, and policy implications, depending on
whether we were in a hybrid or a remote learning environment. What never wavered was the drive of YUHSD to improve upon our skills with professional development, peer observations, and feedback in order to provide innovating and engaging classrooms.
So along with that, there was a large amount of communication that took place. Some of that was commonplace communication that we're used to in a normal year. That might be Canvas or Blackboard type messages. But one of the things we wanted to highlight was what was different this year. Students, the common conversations that you would have with students on their way out the door. How are you doing? It's good to see you. How are your parents? Checking in with grades. Those conversations were a little bit harder, so we took on the challenge and conducted home visits. So there were over 275 documented home visits. I'm sure well more than that completed just in the district. But between counselors and teachers and administrators, we also had over 5,000 phone calls logged to parents and students to try to get that connection made. And for the first time ever, we had principals and administrators creating videos and doing live sessions on social media and on YouTube, hosting parents. So it was a great year for innovation, and that we saw a lot of connections made in ways that we've never made them in the past. And then to piggyback on what Bibi had mentioned, the preparation for the year started early. In July and June, we were already meeting with teachers and administrators to determine how to keep our kids safe. So I know that you are all a part of that process as well, ordering masks and hand sanitizer, as well as trying to figure out how do we teach them in an environment, how do we ensure that each kid is given the equity for education. And then the most important portion of all of that is the social emotional piece. How do we make sure they feel included and understood, and handle the new kind of inclusivity of COVID. And then always, of course, supporting our extracurricular activities, which keep our kids, students engaged and physically active, which is good for all of us. So those were some of the things that we wanted to highlight to you that were happening behind the scenes. And of course, as the year progressed, we pivoted. And we did our best to include those plans ahead of time, but COVID is ever changing, so we're ever changing with it.
So this is just one slide of some of the engagement tools that our teachers use daily. We could have added multiple slides to this, and I heard you guys really like Kahoots. So we're going to do Kahoots. I'm just kidding. So these are just some of those tools. Our teachers have sought out professional development on their own to obtain some of these free pieces of programs. We have had our teachers teach teachers on how to use this, and gone into live sessions, all for the betterment of our students to create that innovative classroom virtually.
So I'm going to showcase another engagement tool here. I'm going to ask Ms. Mellon if she could to rate her comfort level with new technology. So that could be an app, that could be software, a Chrome add-on, something specific to your computer or iPad. So as I'm saying it, she's slowly going down the list. So
your
we
cell
wanted
phone.
to, yeah, your cell phone, your mini computer. Oh, very good. Okay, so this is again a great way for students to engage, and then once the teacher has received information from each student, they can then share out information as a poll. So similar to what you would see in a professional environment. So they can see how their other students are feeling without feeling like their information is put out into the world. So I also wanted to highlight, I know everyone here probably has a different level of comfortability maybe with technology, and that's true of our teachers as well. So this year in particular has been an interesting year and a large growth year for our teachers. So these snapshots were taken in late November. So, I mean, they are barely 3 months into the school year. I was comparing data from Canvas last year for the total year. So one campus had a 300% increase in collaborative discussions digitally online. So again, that's half a year compared to an entire year. So that's amazing growth. 285 sessions were attended by Yuma Union High School District staff that was AVID-led, so that's specifically focused on equity in the classroom and those engaging strategies. 221 hours of self-hosted professional development site-wide, and then a 200% increase in the assignments on Canvas, meaning we've digitalized our content, which is difficult for many areas who have content that is maybe not as accessible digitally. So that's amazing growth, keeping in mind that some of our teachers struggled with just the basics of Canvas at the beginning of the year. And I had a session today where one of my, we call them koalas in our world, where they started out as koalas, thank you, Melissa. And now they're leading the pack. They're taking Canvas and bringing it to a whole nother level and teaching me things. So the growth has been amazing this year.
So as we move forward, we want to share with you that Ready Now Yuma is alive and well. Every student, college, career, and community prepared.
And as our last engagement, we wanted to show you what a Q&A session might look like at the end of a class. So this would be an opportunity for students to put things in the parking lot, is what we like to call it, in a lot of classrooms. And we'd like to open it up to the board if they have any questions for us.
Any questions from the board? It was an excellent presentation, thank you.
I have one question. Thank you so much. Thank you for your presentation. I really appreciate all the effort and work that the staff has put in. It's amazing to see. I know that parent communication has been different this year. And I'm wondering what percentage of your parents do you think you've been able to reach during this COVID time? How many families?
You know,
I don't know if you have that information.
I don't have a rough estimate, but I will tell you that every school has taken the data, starting out with the phone calls. So the phone calls weren't successful, what did we do next? We went into emails. Emails weren't responded to, what did we do next? We sent a snail mail. I mean, there was a way to take the data that we had, and we kept trying. Mm-hmm. And so you kept trying different avenues, you started to gain more momentum with parents responding. And so, although I don't have a percentage for you, I can tell you that it wasn't just a phone call and that was done. It was really relentless and trying to get a hold of people, so.
Thank you.
Any other questions? Thank you very much. Is there Okay, Ms. Mellon, you're shut down. Okay, moving on, item 3.3, online registration in Yuma Union High School District.
Thank you, President Thank you, President Thompson. Ms. Anderson, turning it back over to you for online registration, please.
Thank you. My online registration team was not able to join us this evening, so I'm going to do the best I can to share the important work that they've been doing over the last year. You heard from Mrs. Curry, Ms. Franzine about collaboration, innovation, and teamwork. When our schools closed last March, our district was in the historical event of registering incoming 9th grade students, our 8th graders. That process historically has been completing registration forms and then bringing in documentation to enroll students in the Yuma Union High School District, and that documentation might include a birth certificate. When the schools closed, our team came together, and that team included project manager Charlotte Stevenson was the lead, my administrative assistant Brenda Higuera, not only as a team member but also wearing the parent hat, Eric Patton, our chief communications officer, from Dean's Mr. Farr's department, Yuma Education Technology Consortium, we had Drew Martin, Dion Harrison, Terry Bedoya joined us. This team quickly gathered in March and looked at what options we have using our student information system, Synergy, also known as for students as Student View, and for parents, their account is Parent View. But looking at our system and quickly putting together what we call OLR, or an online registration process. As you heard the lady say, there were 2 phases, so March to May to get students enrolled. We knew we had 2,800 to 3,000 incoming 9th graders that we needed to collect their records and then maintain that. That system that was put in was quickly put in place, but it also had obstacles as we opened the registration up virtually for families. That team came back together in September, took feedback from the community, from the parents, and quickly started meeting weekly from September till Christmas break, and started to develop a system setup, parent view accounts, marketing aspect, outreach to incoming 9th graders, so 8th grade registration, address validation, and open enrollment. I am proud to share that the online registration system opened on January 6th for all incoming or new students, incoming 9th grade students to the Yuma Union High School District. Again, it's been the work of that team with the Yuma Union High School District and the consortium team. And today we have a short video that was put together with the team. All of this information is on the Yuma Union High School District website. It's also been shared with the feeder schools to share with the parents. I know in San Luis, speaking with Mr. Castillo, he's been going to many of the PTO meetings and over to the middle school. So if I can ask Mrs. Olivas to play a little bit of the video, and this is a tutorial for parents. It is also on our website.
Hello, and welcome to Yuma Union High School District. This video tutorial is to guide our new parents in creating their Parent View account and to enter the online registration system for your incoming freshmen. Let's go ahead and click on the Create a New Account. These 3 questions will help the system to determine if you need a Parent View account or if you should already have one. The first question, do you currently have a student at school or school program within the Yuma Union High School District? Have you ever had a student attend a school or school program within the Yuma Union High School District? And finally, is this the first time you have ever requested access or had access to an online parent account in the Yuma Union High School District? And then click on the Continue button. This is the privacy statement and the use agreement. And so you can scroll down to read. And if you agree, then click on the blue I accept button. Now we're going to start creating our account. So go ahead and type in your first name, your last name, and then your personal email address.
So families have 2 options in registering their incoming 8th grade students. One would be going to the Yuma Union High School District and accessing this online information and completing the whole registration process virtually. The other option would be for families is to contact their high school registration department and schedule an appointment and then go in and actually fill out the form as we've done in prior years. So exciting work that's been completed over the last year. Any questions?
I just wanted to say, as somebody who wears that parent hat too, it's a fantastic job. It is so easy to use, and I really, really appreciate all of it.
Any other questions or comments? Thank you very much, Ms. Ann.
Thank you.
Okay, item 3.4, campus activities update. Assistant Principals, Ms. Thompson and Mr. Branson.
Thank you, President Townsend. As I said earlier, while students were not able to be full-time on campus, we continued the process and as well as all of the pillars in one way, shape, or form. And tonight, I am turning this over to Mr. Brienza, as we are extremely proud to present what the assistant principals for activities have done with their leadership directly with students.
Thank you. When we returned to distance learning on November 23rd, we wanted to make sure that our students could still stay connected to the schools. Like our instructional coaches mentioned earlier, we learned some lessons from March to June. And when we had school closure last year, all activities stopped. So we wanted to make sure that we provided avenues for our students to stay connected in activities on their campus and also in the community. So tonight, we're not hearing from athletics today. Normally my assistant principals that come are athletic directors, but today we have a very special group of leaders who have demonstrated a strong amount of leadership here in the last few months, especially since August, on making activities virtual and also in person. So kind of like a hybrid model, and we have them here tonight. I do have a larger group than normal because we had some changes that semester, which we're excited about. But I'm going to call them up and introduce them, and they'll be covering activities that are not sport related or just adult related that took place for each campus just since November 23rd. You were given a copy of that, I believe, on Friday. It's also in the board packet, and they will not be covering everything. We'll be here for a long time, but they're going to cover some highlights from each campus. Some of the student councils have already reported out on them. So you may hear them twice, but they're going to cover the ones that they felt that they wanted to share tonight in a short presentation that really brought home what's been going on their campus. So we do have Joe Capugia, Kathy Hoover, Melissa Elgood, Delia Castro, Corey Semler, Renee Shelball. They're the assistant principals. Then we have Brett Sergine, who wears every hat available at Vista. So they'll be coming up to the podium and sharing the activities that have taken place, both academic and in the activities office, for our students just since November 23rd. So I'd like to invite them up, and just once again, I want to say I'm very proud of the leadership that they've demonstrated. So thank you.
And as a reminder to the team, and I know Mr. Sutler is super bashful and shy when it comes to the microphone, so just reminding everyone to speak directly into the microphone, please. Welcome.
Thanks, Mr. Granza. On behalf of the assistant principals of activities throughout the district, we just want to thank you guys for having us tonight. It's really good to see you all again. So, as Superintendent Thompson mentioned, my name is Mr. Corey Semler. I'm the assistant principal at Cibola High School, and I'm here to talk about a few of the things we have going on. During the distance learning, remote learning, we actually still have 19 clubs remain active, which means they're still holding meetings, hosting activities, both virtually and on campus. Our Cibola Choir and Dance both had virtual performances. You saw a little snippet of our choir performance earlier during our student council presentation, and they actually, both programs sent out their performances to the staff during the holidays, just as a way to kind of raise morale and show we wanted to keep those traditions alive at Cibola High School. CTE had a lot going on. We had 18 of our leaders and ambassadors complete the virtual Leadership 100 training. And the theme of that was actually to become someone worth following. And that's really the theme and the mantra that the school district's really been throwing out for leadership training, is become someone worth following. And we've had great examples of that tonight with President Townsend receiving his award, and Coach, congratulations on yours. The students have great role models throughout the district, and they want to follow in those footsteps. All of our students that are CTE students, we have 1565 of those at Cibola High School. They were all registered for the Fall Leadership Experience, and specifically with FFA, they continued their annual Green Hand Officer Inauguration. So we had 9 officers inducted to their leadership positions that are all new to FFA. Lastly, for CTE, our CNA testing results, we had 10 of 10 students pass the knowledge exam, and 9 of 10 pass the skills exam. That one student that failed the skills exam is showing massive perseverance. She's already rescheduled to take that later this month. So she's right back on the horse, ready to tackle it and full of confidence. Lastly, you've heard a lot about drive-thrus, and we had a ton of them. And so just to highlight a few, we continued our A-Team celebration, where we had 286 students and families celebrated for their academic achievement. Our Raiders Rally for College drive-thru, which focused on providing students with information regarding college entrance requirements. And within that, we had 126 seniors obtain their FAFSA packets. Our teachers also hosted their own drive-thrus. Our ceramics, art, and band teachers had over 140 students pick up equipment, so that way they could still partake in class activities that require, clay for ceramics, their instruments for band, the different palettes for art. They really wanted to keep their students engaged throughout the distance learning process, and our science department followed suit. We had over 150 students pick up lab equipment to successfully complete hands-on labs. My favorite lab they've done is a salsa garden, and so each student got their own pot of soil, they got seeds for salsa, and they're growing them at home as we speak. And so at the end of the school year, they're all gonna be able to pick the vegetables from their garden, make their salsa, and they're gonna have a virtual party as of right now. So I'm excited. And then lastly, Jostens, keeping the graduation hopes alive. We had over 200 seniors place orders for their graduation regalia. So that's it for Cibola. I'd like to introduce Ms. Renee Sheldon from Gila Ridge.
Good evening. Thank you, Lori. I appreciate that. Governing Board, President Townsend, Superintendent Thompson, Associate Superintendents Anderson and Brianza, thank you for allowing me to present tonight our wonderful things that are going on our campus at Gila Ridge. I am Renee Sheldon, the Assistant Principal overseeing activities at Gila Ridge. And tonight I'm going to go over a few things. Our students went over the activities side, gave their report, and I didn't want to rain on their parade, so I'm going to go ahead and give you some information regarding academics, and you'll see here. So I'll start off first with our annual event that went undeterred of the academic decathlon scrimmage that occurred on December the 4th. The events are listed there: art, economics, literature, math, music, science, and social studies. 3 events were not held. The events are speech, interview, and essay. I have to tell you that Gila Ridge is very excited to know David Zaragoza was our senior that did really well. But we have freshman Christian, or CJ is what he goes by, Stanley, did really well as well. And so we're happy to see what our next generation of students is also going to be coming up with. So we're happy for that. And then I need to give a little bit of a plug. Every year we hold Academic Decathlon. Academic Decathlon is still going on this year virtually. And so we still are in need of volunteers. And so I address our volunteers out in our community that are online watching, that if you are able, we would be able to accommodate some more people helping out with that. So it will be held January 28th. There's an event February 5th and February 6th. Dan Zarbach is the person that you would need to contact at Cibola High School, so email's a great way to get a hold of them, okay? Also, we have our informational hot through that we did on our campus. It occurred December 2nd from 6 to 8 p.m. And you might be asking, what is that? I'm not sure what that is. So it was the event where we, teachers provided more information on their courses, how students could be successful, and allow parents the opportunity to ask questions at this particular time. You can see that we had our parents were online virtually, and they were able, it was a success. They did say that we should do this more often at an earlier time, and we would really like to be able to do that. So that's something we took away, feedback that we were given that was really appreciated. Do I move this forward? Okay, there we go. Thank you. Next, I wanted to highlight our counseling department. Our counseling department made over 400, saw over 400 seniors and reviewed their transcripts. The big thing that I want to make sure and have you understand is that when students were not being, weren't able to be contacted, and Ms. Kravitz, you spoke to this, our counselors went to their homes. And yes, they made sure to follow all of the PPE, 15 minutes outside so that they could speak to these families, but 40 seniors' homes were visited in order to find out what's going on with school and making sure that they were on target to graduate. So something that came out of that as well was why grades matter. And so our counselors went through and they presented a virtual video for students all of our students that went through and took them through the Why Grades Matter. So that was really exciting for them. Also, we had, coming out of that was our winter session. Winter session was once grades were posted and students, seniors that were not credit current, we wanted to make sure to have an opportunity. They had 7 days, the dates listed there, to make up that credit. And so exciting that the work that our counselors did to ensure that these students could be credit current. And you can see 53 phone calls were made, 42 parents and students agreed to come to a winter session. 27 of those students are back on track. Interestingly enough, a student can have several classes that they're taking, so 44 individual courses were completed. And that's exciting for our students, and we're happy to report that. Lastly, we are going to highlight our CTE. Little Hawks are still going through, and so it's part of our community that we event that we get to actually help out with. Our students are still planning the lessons, and parents get online with their Little Hawk, and they are also provided a little bag that parents obviously have to come pick up since their Little Hawks are too little. But they go through and they go through the material with their students, and so that's still continuing on. And I just want to one more time state how important it is for us that our CNA students, 10 out of 10, were able to pass their exam in December, and in this time it really is important that we support that. So thank you to the board for having that, as well as Ms. Honeycutt. So thank you. And that's my presentation.
Good evening, everybody. Sorry, I was looking for Melissa. We had a little role reversal at semester, so I had to make sure that I put my mask back on. I'm not a whole thing anymore, but I'll represent for tonight. Thanks for having us here tonight. Appreciate it. Mr. Thompson, congratulations on your award. For Copa High School, under CTE, we have the group called JROTC. We have 5 students that will be participating in rifle competition and the Raider Challenge. As far as community service goes, this semester JROTC did color guard and 2 events in the fall. For our CNA students, they have been on campus for practice and class. They did take the CNA test with their headmasters. 9 of the students had participated. 89% passed the knowledge exam, 100% passed the skills exam. Students that did not pass, they are currently working on retesting as we speak. As far as drive-through goes, drive-through pickups, we've had every week, the students come on campus to be able to pick up different library books that they requested through our library. We also did a Balfour, a senior information and packets and material pickup. As a lot of other schools, we did the band and ceramics and art. We had over 100 students participate in that, so they would have the materials that they needed to be able to continue their learning at home. Student photos by Life Touch. We did it through all of our English classes. We had a pretty decent showing for it. We also had a dedicated Wednesday that afternoon for students that were distance learning. We're still working on getting the rest of them. We're trying to figure out a selfie way to take those photos for those students that weren't able to come on campus. In clubs that are still remaining active during working at home, we have 14 clubs that are active and are participating in different activities throughout the community. Thank you.
Good evening, everybody. My name is Celia Castro, and I get to serve the students of San Luis. Oh, sorry.
Oh, I have one more, I'm sorry.
So quickly we forget.
I'm sorry. As far as counseling goes, I'm sorry, we have 8 college and FAFSA-related individual meetings in the career room as well on campus. We had 13 students who took the ASVAB test this year. We had 6 families participate in the AWC FAFSA workshops at Copa High School, and 6 students participated in the ECAP makeup meeting in the Career Center as well. Sorry.
I'm going to go ahead and continue or start with CTE students. They've been very busy during distance learning, and I just want to state before I start, just bring some clarity that anytime a student came onto campus, we always had followed all the safety rules with social distancing and PPE and available material to sanitize. We had all of our CNA students that took the exam, passed the exam. We also had CT students attend the Ambassador and the HOSA virtual leadership conferences, as well as participated on FBLA online testing tournament. Our Ed Rising students are currently hosting virtual Little Winders program for preschoolers. For curbside pickup, we were very busy as well, mostly in the class material pickup, library books, and hotspots. Some of our clubs held virtual meetings, and others have been staying active by posting on social media. Here's a snippet of the staff appreciation video from our Interact Club, if it works. Well, we can't see it, but we can hear it a little bit. I can tell you what it was. It was students holding up thank you signs for our teachers in appreciation at the end of the semester. We had students speak into it. We had former colleagues send positive messages to our teachers, just letting them know that, that they appreciate them. Next, we have our student council has been working hard to maintain school spirit with spirit weeks, gaming nights, acts of random kindness. We've had performances as well, all virtual. We've had a presentation from Yellow Ribbon. It's both staff and students presented on suicide awareness. There was a virtual dance workshop, 2 virtual band performances, and a 3rd band performance that was broadcasted at the London New Year Day Parade. And if this video works, here's a snippet of our mariachi performing Holy Night. Well, I'm glad that one played because I didn't want to sing that. Our counseling department is last but not least, has been very busy. They've been hosting virtual meetings to help students with scholarships and applications. They've maintained communication with every senior. They've held virtual registrations for our incoming 8th graders. They collected elective videos in the process to do that. And they have over 550 course requests already. They've helped 68 more students complete their FAFSA, placing our school at a 50% completion. And a very empowering virtual presentation was our very own San Luis alumni held a presentation regarding out-of-state universities. It included Johns Hopkins, Stanford, and the U.S. Military Academy at West Point, amongst others. San Luis alumni provided our students with scholarship information, application information, and tips in applying, and they were able to answer students with any questions they might have for them. And that concludes my report.
Good evening, Governing Board. I'm happy to be here to share about some of the extracurricular activities that have happened at Vista High School since November 23rd. First thing, on December 18th, we were able to have a kind of wonderfully normal graduation ceremony. It was safe. There were fewer people there than normal, lots of distancing, but students walked across the stage, they got their diploma, they got to have photos afterwards with their parents. We did have 8 students participate in the ceremony, and we had 14 students be awarded their diploma in December. So we're very proud of those students and happy that we were able to have that ceremony. And thank you to Yuma High for hosting that ceremony in December. Throughout this time from November 23rd, we've had more and more students that were able to serve on campus who have been struggling for different reasons at home. And we're happy to be able to provide that service for students. Our student council worked really hard to try to figure out how to still reward students for making positive choices. We give hollow cards to students when they help each other out, or when they help the teacher, or when they make good choices. And the student council decided to host Students First Teachers Among Us, which, if you don't know what Among Us is, ask anyone who's 5 to 18 years old and they'll tell you it's this game on a phone, and you sit around and try to guess who'd done it, basically. And 6 students participated in that. I was in it, I lost every round, but it was wonderful. I had a very good time. Ceramic students turned in their projects in November and December to be fired in the kiln. Lots of beautiful artwork that was submitted that way. We have a garden club who's in its 2nd year, and their goal is to build a community garden at Vista High School, and they've been working with the county health department to do that. And they were right about at the stage where they were going to start building the garden beds, and that didn't happen, but they were able to send the students who were in that club home with seeds and with growing pods, and those future seedlings are growing right now to be transplanted into the garden when that's able to be built. So those are some of the things that Vista High School students have been up to, and I appreciate your time. Thank you.
Good evening, I'm Kathy Hoover, formerly Activities Director at Yuma High School. I'm now taking on the role of Academics Assistant Principal. But I wanted to report on the work that Yuma High has done in activities over the past semester. So just like the other campuses, we've done drive-through events, graduation preparation events. We had over half of our senior families attend the 2-day Jostens event in preparation for graduation. That was very exciting to see the hope and the anticipation for a successful, very unique year. Our counseling department partners up in those drive-thrus to give Gear Up packets, which are booklets that help students prepare for college, and kind of step-by-step processes for them to go through as in a workbook form. So our counselors did a really good job of making sure each of our seniors received that packet to help guide them through their senior year. We had an A-team drive-through where we celebrated 60 criminals who made the A-team last spring. And we had about 15 families come through that drive-through, and were celebrated by a parade of counselors and administrators, and that was a lot of fun. School pictures, just like the other campuses, we've offered in person in various ways throughout the week-long period, and we have retakes scheduled in February. The one thing I wanted to highlight, and Superintendent Thompson mentioned this as well, our students were really focused on community service. The club activities that were, some of our highlights were all about community service, and the holiday gift drive, that was a very big success for Stuco. There was a dog food drive for the Humane Society by our FBLA students. Excuse me, and our art club is in the process of planning a mural painting at Lutz Casino. They haven't completed it yet, so don't go to Lutz expecting to see a new mural, but they're in the planning processes, and they've been working with their art class sponsor to help with that project. Our CTE students have been involved, as you've heard from other campuses. Our CTE students have also been involved in leadership trainings that have been held virtually. Our CTSO competitions and leadership conferences have all accommodated our students virtually. So, this time last year, you may have heard a lot of leadership conference attendance and competition preparations and those types of things. Those things are still going on, but those organizations are having them compete virtually and learn how to be leaders virtually, and our students have been actively participating in that. Our cooperative education CTE program is where we have really strong work-based learning experiences for our students. Our cell block, you may have heard of, is a student store at Yuma High School. Our cell block is still open, and our students are running that. Our FBLA students are running that, as well as our other co-op student workers who are employed across the city of Yuma, but also here at Yuma High School, and they're still actively working in those roles. Our counseling department wanted me to make sure we highlighted our concurrent enrollment opportunities at Yuma High School, which were a blended model, meaning students could learn online, but they had access to their instructors in person if they chose to do that. So we had several successes with students getting AWC credit while attending Yuma High School. Couple things I wanted to reinforce. Choice is a big deal to us at Yuma High School. We understand our students need options and need those choices, and we honor those choices by providing virtual club opportunities and activities. If our student clubs, which are student run, you may understand that our students are the ones that lead their own clubs. If they wanted to do in-person activities, they could submit that request. They could submit their proposal for what they want to do, and we would do everything we can to guide them through what that might look like in a COVID setting where we have to fit that within the parameters that keep us all safe and keep them safe. So what you should know is that our students choose to do things mostly virtually. Excuse me, they choose that for themselves, and they agree on that as a club, and they vote on those things. So that's an important piece that I hope the board and our leadership and our public understand, is that we accommodate what our students are choosing, and we're proud of that. So thank you so much for allowing me to present.
Thank you.
So I just want to highlight once again that I gave the directions that you get one slide and you get 1 minute. And I was quickly told that, listen, we got so much wonderful stuff going on just since, mid-November. And if you actually counted up everything, sub-bullets, in the board packet, there's over 150 activities that our assistant principals and the club sponsors and the students have basically had to create a model that they've never had to use before, just to keep students connected to the school and the community. And I think that's very important. So I just want to highlight once again, there's been over 150 activities on all of our campuses just since mid-November. And I think it's a testament to our leadership from our assistant principals and our students for coming up with creative ideas, and our sponsors for helping support their ideas. So thank you for listening to us tonight. And I hope we can come back in June and just give another example of all the wonderful things going on.
Very informative. Thank you very much. Appreciate it. Moving on, item 3.5, first read of regulation of exhibits. They were in your board packet. This is a first read. There's no action to be taken, so we can go on from there. And next item is the call to the public. Any person wishing to speak may present the information at this time only. All presentations are limited to a maximum of 3 minutes and a maximum of 15 minutes on each subject. Before you begin to speak, please identify yourself by clearly stating for the record your name. Comments by members of the governing board in response to any public comment will be limited to asking staff to review the matter or requesting or scheduling of the matter for further consideration at a later date. I do have one, Mr. Campbell.
Thank you, Phil. I hate these things. Good evening, Mr. President, board members. My name is Harvey Campbell, and I'm the president of BetterYuma.org. It's a nonprofit organization that attempts to make Yuma a better place to live. We've been in existence since 2003. I've been the president since that date. We have approximately 60 members that include most of the banks in town, most of the insurance companies, title companies, large landowners, developers, subcontractors, etc. I'd like to speak today about the procurement methodology that the board used on selecting the Summerton High School, proposed Summerton High School. I've been a developer since I arrived here in Yuma. I developed Barkley Ranch, La Quinta, Livingston Ranch, Citrus Springs, residential developments here in town, and I've done commercial developments down at 21st and 28th Street, the Tuscany of Yuma, professional medical plaza centers. And I don't understand why the board elected to use a CMAR methodology to select to build a $47 million high school. A CMAR, I know there's 3 new members on the board, as I witnessed being sworn in tonight. CMAR is a alternate delivery method. It's a construction management at risk, is what it stands for. And it's not based on a competitive bid. It's simply based on somebody's presentation. There's no checks and balances as far as what are you getting for your $47 million. As good stewards to the community, my organization asked me to come and speak to you tonight because we feel it's imperative after 2 instances that happened with the city of Yuma, one being the Thomas Alt Utilities Complex that was awarded to Core Construction for $7 million. And after several members of our organization talked to Phil Rodriguez, who's the city administrator for the city of Yuma, they decided to take a competitive bid on that same project. And it ultimately was awarded to Pilkington Construction for $5 million, or 5.1 if you want to be exact. The taxpayers for the city of Yuma were saved $2 million because they used a hard bid, competitive bid versus a CMAR methodology in procuring the project. Another example was the Yuma High School culinary lab project. It was awarded under a CMAR contract for $1.2 million. And again, it was let out and awarded to Pilkington for construction for $504,779 plus $1,789 worth of change orders, totaling $522,000. The highest bidder was only $600,000. Again, these are just 2 examples. They saved over $600,000 of the taxpayers' monies by using competitive bids. Is competitive bids the easiest process methodology to use? Absolutely not. Is CMAR? Yes. You give them $47 million and you hope you get $47 million worth of product. But there's not one of you that can tell me, using a CMAR contract methodology, that that's what you're getting. Are you getting $37 million and the taxpayers are paying for $47 million? So I'm here to urge everyone to reconsider and implement a competitive bid. Everybody that used the CMAR process can qualify under a competitive bid. They can afford to be bonded under the same process. Every player can remain the same, but the citizens of Yuma will know that they're getting $47 million worth of product for those students that live in Summerton, Arizona. Now I know there's been rumors, people lived in San Luis saying that they didn't get the same product that Gila Ridge got, one of the other new schools. We want to make sure our organization represents the fact that we want to make sure as good students of this community that those students get a $47 million project and aren't shortchanged. I appreciate your time, Mr. President, and I too congratulate you on your award.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Okay, I don't have any other cards. Is there anybody else that wanted to address the board? Okay, we'll proceed on. Thank you. Next item is consent items. Adoption of items of adoption of a routine nature and those that normally do not require deliberations on the part of the governing board. A board member may pull items which will be discussed and voted on separately. Is there a motion to approve the consent items?
I'd like to motion to approve the consent items stated.
Motion made by Mr. Gonzalez and seconded by Mr. Lotta to approve the consent items as presented. Is there any questions or discussion? Hearing none, we'll proceed to vote. All in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed? Motion carries. Okay. That's the consent items. Action items. We've already done 6.1, consideration to accept donations. I will read the donations. To Kofa High School, Ms. Ariam Marino donated 20 warm-up bottoms to the Kofa High School wrestling team. Estimated value of donation is $3,260. To Yuma High School, 2 screens for teachers donated a monitor to Ms. Gastillium's classroom at Yuma High School to assist the teacher to view students on one screen and cast on the other. Estimated value of the donation is $155. To the Yuma Union High School District, an anonymous donor donated 10 silver Haynes flutes, 1 silver Haynes piccolo to the Yuma Union High School District. Flutes will be assigned 2 to each campus, and the piccolo will be a floating instrument to be shared by the schools. Estimated value of the donation is $124,280. It is recommended that the governing board accept the above listed donations. Is there a motion?
I move that we, the governing board, accept the above listed donations with many thanks.
I'll second that.
Motion made by Ms. Kravitz, second by Mr. Lotta, to accept the donations with a great big thanks. Is there any questions or discussion? Hearing none, we'll proceed to vote. All in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed? Motion carries unanimously. Item 6.3, consideration to approve award for IFB-70-21-4-1 renovations of existing restrooms at Cibola and San Luis High Schools. It is recommended that the governing board approve the award for IFB 70-21-4-1 to Pilkington Construction Company as noted in the background. Is there a motion?
I move that we, the governing board, approve the award for the IFB 70-21-4-1 to Pilkington Construction as noted in the background.
Second.
Motion is made by Ms. Mellon, seconded by Mr. Gonzalez to award the IFB 70-21-4-1 to Pilkington Construction Company as noted in the background. Is there any questions or discussion? Hearing none, we'll proceed to vote. All in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed? Motion carries unanimously. Item 6.4, consideration to approve award for IFB 70-21-5-1 Yuma High School locker shower renovations. It is recommended that the governing board approve the award for IFB 70-21-5-1 to Merrill Development LLC as noted in the background. Is there a motion?
I move that we, the governing board, approve the award for the IFB 70-21-5-1 to Merrill Development as noted in the background.
Second.
The motion has been made by Ms. Mellon, seconded by Mr. Gonzalez to approve the award for IFB 70-21-5-1 to Merrill Development LLC as noted in the background. Is there any questions or discussion?
I have one question, if I
Yes.
may. Maybe I should have asked this prior to, because I thought of it and I'm sorry that I didn't, but how was it decided that these projects need to be completed? Like, how did we decide that we needed to redo this locker room?
Well, depending on the project, there are some projects that have been on the list through bond project development for many years, since 2015 when we went to Yes, Yes, Your High School vote. But there is an evaluation process, most of them, if not all, it's safety.
Okay, thank you.
And there's an evaluation process, need, et cetera.
Yeah, no, I know, thank you.
Any other questions or discussion? Hearing none, we'll proceed to vote. All in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed? Motion carries. Item 6.5, consideration to approve award for IFB 70-21-6-1 renovations of existing restrooms at Yuma High School. It is recommended that the governing board approve the award for IFB 70-21-6-1 to Merrill Development LLC, as noted in the background. Is there a motion?
So moved.
Second.
Motion made by Mr. Gonzalez and seconded by Ms. Mellon to approve the award for IFB 70-21-6-1 to Merrill Development LLC, as noted in the background. Is there any questions or discussion? Hearing none, all in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed? Motion carries. Item 6.6, consideration to approve the award of RFQ-70-21-11-5 Summerton High School pre-construction. It is recommended the governing board approve the award of RFQ-70-21-10-5 Construction Manager Risk Summerton High School to McCarthy Building Companies Incorporated, as noted in the background, and authorize the superintendent to execute the pre-construction phase services contract with McCarthy Building Companies, Inc. Is there a motion?
I move that the governing board approve the award of the RFQ-70-21-10-5 Construction Manager at Risk Summerton High School to McCarthy Building Companies, as noted in the background, and authorize the superintendent to execute the pre-construction phase services contract with McCarthy Building Companies.
I second the motion.
Motion is made by Ms. Mellon, seconded by Mr. Gonzalez, to approve the award RFQ 70-21-10-5 Construction Manager at Risk Summerton High School to McCarthy Building Companies Incorporated, as noted in the background, and authorize the superintendent to execute the pre-construction phase services contract with McCarthy Building Companies. Is there any questions or discussion?
Yes.
Laura, you've got a question.
Actually goes back to your presentation earlier. And after the gentleman, I forgot his name.
Mr. Campbell.
Okay, yeah. What he was explaining makes a lot of sense. I'm not comfortable approving this. And if we could, I would like to table it, give it another look at it. But what the gentleman said, I think is spot on.
Is that a motion to table it?
I'll make a motion to table it.
Is there a second? Is there a second? Motion to table fails for lack of a second. Is there any further discussion? Hearing none, we'll proceed to vote. All in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed?
Nay.
Motion carries 4-1. Okay. Moving on, the next meeting of the board is Wednesday, February 10th, 2021, 5:15, right here. Is there a motion to adjourn?
Second.
Motion made by Ms. Kraus, second by Ms. Mellon to adjourn. All in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed?
Nay.
You can stay here all night.